What are the links between industrial agriculture and environmental racism? Let's discuss. In our previous video, we discussed how industrial agriculture has created a global environmental injustice, altering ecosystems, displacing humans, and hurting animal species within its own supply chain. Before we get started, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more eco-educational content. Industrial agriculture is one of the largest contributors of greenhouse gas emissions. It has a significant negative impact on the environment, with agricultural pollution being defined as the contamination that is released into the environment when we grow, produce, distribute, and transport animals and crops. What's worse is that the current business model of the agricultural industry is heavily dependent on undocumented workers who are part of frontline communities in the climate justice movement. They are paid low wages while working in extreme weather conditions with produce sprayed with large amounts of pesticides. Undocumented farm workers who work days in slaughterhouses also spend their days going through repetitive motions for hours in a high-speed environment with extreme temperature and biological hazards. Undocumented farm workers in the US, the majority of whom are people of color, are denied legal protections such as family leave or health coverage. Even though farm workers pay taxes every year, they miss out on benefits such as the COVID-19 stimulus checks. Being exposed to toxic chemicals and pesticides working within the stressful and cruel confines of slaughterhouses while lacking access to medical care amounts to environmental racism. Moreover, animal agriculture also raises questions regarding its treatments of animals and its impact on water and air pollution because so many animal beings are slaughtered in this industry. Environmental justice means fighting for a world where industrial agriculture no longer harms nearby communities, where communities are no longer impacted by toxic facilities. The latter tend to be located more closely to low-income Black, Indigenous people of color. And we've seen this in documentaries like Cowspiracy, where they covered the impacts of industrial agriculture. When it comes to water pollution, scientists have noted that animal waste is not properly treated in waste management practice systems, unlike human sewage systems that we have. The animal waste actually turns into runoff and contaminates nearby water resources, and these pollutants often end up in groundwater, lakes, rivers, or waterways that can harm fish and spread bacteria and disrupt waterway activities. And so for air pollution, the management accounts for nearly 14% of greenhouse gas emissions from agricultural operations. Manure runoff contains chemicals such as ammonia, which can then interact with other agricultural chemicals such as nitrogen and oxides and sulfates. In Casco, Wisconsin, a community found that their water had coliform bacteria that rendered the water undrinkable, and as it was categorized as dangerous by the microbiologist from the US Department of Agriculture. The bacteria came from nearby dairy farms. Due to the fact that residents are unable to drink water from their own waterway systems, they had to purchase plastic water bottles. Communities that live far away from farms are still at risk for downstream pollution. And many of the farm workers aren't able to advocate for their rights, which further exacerbates the cycle of injustice because they are threatened by being deported in collaboration with the immigration industrial complex. In North Carolina, the Environmental Working Group found that around 10 billion gallons of animal waste is produced each year just solely in North Carolina, and it has the second biggest hog farm in the country. The North Carolina Environmental Justice Network filed a lawsuit in 2014 against the Environmental Protection Agency for failing to regulate the waste. Hog waste from factory farms has a negative health impact for local communities. Toxic emissions, including sulfide and ammonia, were being released across the community, leading to headaches, fatigue, and decreased immune function. Low-income Black, Indigenous, and people of color communities that live near hog farms have a 30% higher death rate from kidney disease. Even though Earth Justice has managed to file lawsuits against the Environmental Protection Agency for the North Carolina community, the cases were repeatedly denied and dismissed by the court. When asked to disclose data, corporations were benefiting from leniency from the courts, which makes us question what does it mean to have systemic change. Fighting against industrial agriculture's contributions to environmental racism will be a long uphill battle. And environmental racism manifests manifests itself in a variety of forms, whether it's through migrant farm workers who have the least access to government assistance or low-income communities who are disproportionately affected by these toxins. Having a fair, healthy, and equitable environment requires the agricultural industry to radically change the way it operates, distributes, and treats ecosystems, people, and animals. This is why economic, racial, migrant, animal, environmental, and health justice is interconnected in these movements. What are your thoughts on industrial agriculture? I'd love to hear more on what you think, and make sure to like and comment and subscribe for more upcoming eco-educational content that explores the industrialized food system we live in today.